All right, we're on. Okay, so tonight we start with two public hearings. The first of which is on the local law number 4, which is overriding the property tax cap if necessary for the upcoming fiscal year. We're in budget season right now, so annually we override the tax cap just in case we need to. We haven't had to exceed it. So usually after the budget is finalized, we come back and we repeal this law. So let's just dive right in. Does anyone have any comment on overriding the property tax cap, local law number 4 tonight? Anyone have any comment? Make sure you're unmuted. There's some people I can't see, so. Okay, I think I'm supposed to ask 3 times, correct? I will ask one more time. If anyone has a public comment on overriding the property tax cap, local law number 4 of 2021. All right, I think we're in the clear there. So we'll close that public comment period. The next public hearing we have tonight is regarding the tentative budget for the Village of Athens for fiscal year June 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022. Did anyone have any comments on the tentative budget at this time?
Amy, I have a question. When is it appropriate for board members to ask any questions that we might have about the budget, now or later?
If you have one you want to ask now, that's fine. If not, we can go back and forth about any questions that you have. We have the document that Stefan set up online, or if you just want to email. But if you have something right now, I may not be able to answer it, but I can definitely take it down and figure that out.
Okay, there were we got you sent us out a copy of the budget.
Yeah.
And I put some comments in the you said, put our comments in
Yep.
columns. So I put some comments in. I don't think they're of sufficiently earth-shaking importance to necessarily take everybody's time now.
Okay.
But there, I did have some questions, and so I didn't know when. I mean, some of them may just require kind of offline answers from you. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to take a look at that document this week. It's been an incredibly busy week. So I'll take a gander at what you had written in there, and then if I have answers, I'll answer it. If not, I'll find them.
Okay, so we're not going to vote on that today.
Oh, no, the budget doesn't get voted on until the end of the month.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's just to hear comment if anybody had anything, so we can take it into account as we look over the budget and prepare it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. So did anyone else have anything about the budget? Bob, you can go ahead and unmute. You're muted.
So it looks like it's going up 12% or something like that. It's just like from 1.4 million to 1.6.
We haven't
Right.
done any of the trimming down yet. That's just tentative. So at this point, if you had anything like, oh, I see, why is this like that, that could help us contribute to taking that down. But there are several things that I've already identified that could be cut and nobody would even feel it. So that won't be the final total.
And I see you're spending more on the community center, even though it may still get transferred to the town. Is there a reason why? You budgeted 30,000, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Do you have the line item handy?
It's on the first page.
Oh, okay. The contingent.
Oh, is that?
Is it 1990.4? That's the.
Just says
here's-
building, community center, and then
here's what
gym
I
is on.
see. Yeah, that was one of the ones I had flagged to discuss, like,
Okay.
why that was such a big jump.
Yeah.
That won't remain that high. The transfer is something we're still working on. I've been talking to Supervisor Butler, but that won't remain that high.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, like, we do this now, but and the tentative budget is still very tentative. You know, the copy that we have was prepared before we even had all of the information on you know, what we would receive in tax revenue. So
Yeah, I noticed that last page is missing with the
yeah.
tax levy. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
got that like a few days ago. So
Bob, I had that question myself.
yeah, that won't remain that high. There's a couple of things that jumped out right away, and I said, okay, well, these cuts are going to be things that people don't feel within their departments, hopefully. So,
Okay.
all right, thanks, Bob.
How do we access the budget as it's being developed? What's the best way to do that?
You can see the tentative budget online. I don't know if you saw the link that was in the message that had the link to this meeting.
Oh, okay. All
But
right. I'll
like
look
I
more
said,
carefully.
it is very tentative. I don't think we usually release like another copy until it's the final one, but before the final vote, we will release the budget again. Correct, Hal? We will post. Yeah. Okay. So like as
Okay.
we get closer and we think we have it, you'll get to
Great.
see it. The
Great. Thank you.
no problem. Anyone else on anything on the budget? Any other comment on the budget? Third time's the charm. Any other comment on the budget? Okay, I'll take that as a no, and we will close the public comment period for public hearing 2 on the tentative budget for fiscal year ending May 31st, 2022. So that'll close our public hearings, and now we'll open the regular village board meeting with department heads, starting with Tal.
Okay, we went through the tax cap so quickly, I didn't even get a chance to say that this year, the governor or the comptroller's office has let us know that the actual increase or decrease, whichever you want to call it, for the increase in the amount of property tax that can be generated and levied for the budget is 1.56. So it's not even 2% this year.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to have to, I think we'll be good there anyway. So,
yeah, you've done a very good job with that over the years, and I didn't expect it, but just so that everybody knows, it's not even at 2% this year, it's 1.56.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, number 2 is I filed the zoning law modification for the waterfront mixed use zoning change, so that as well as the moratorium termination. So those are all effective now and on the books.
Cool.
And let's see, number 3, been working with code enforcement on a number of matters, mostly catching up with the real estate stuff. And it's crazy out there. The real estate market is on fire.
Yeah.
I keep telling everybody at all these meetings, if you've got real estate to sell, now's the time to do it.
I know. I wish I had a house just lying around.
You know, the thing that people say in response to that, Tal, is, where would I go? There's nothing to buy.
That's my response as well.
Well, that's why I say if you've got it.
Yeah. Just a spare house lying around, you know.
Yeah, you know.
We're looking forward to retiring to North Carolina.
Let's see next. And really the last one that I'm working on right now is Amy and I will need to sit down and just hash out the final details of the emergency declaration for the street use program so that we can get that going for the restaurants again for the summertime.
Oh yeah, just a little background if everybody wasn't aware. Before Mayor Bradisich left, he started the process of an executive order to allow our restaurants to use the outside space around them so that they can have more dining capacity and hopefully, you know, make more money and be successful. And also we can all enjoy eating outdoors, which is usually pretty fun. So thanks, Tal.
And the goal there actually, because we're still going to be able to do this under the executive orders from the governor's office. So this year we can do it under our executive orders / declaration of emergency, but then I think it's going to be a good idea, and both you and Stefan agreed that we find a way to make it more permanent. And to do that, I think that we just basically turn that declaration and the executive order into a local law, and then just continue it until we don't want it anymore.
Sounds good.
So we'll work on that as well once we fine tune all how we want to do it.
Okay.
And so, of course, since this is the early month meeting, I'm going to have to zoom out up to Jewett at about 5 minutes to 7. So I'll
Okay.
hang in until then, but then I'll take off and then come back.
Okay, great, because I
Alright.
think I might have some questions when we get to the correspondence. There were a couple of legal matters in there that I wasn't really
Okay,
aware. Okay,
yeah, no problem. I'll be back.
cool.
Amy, but
Yeah.
before you go, before you go, Amy, quick question. Are you going to continue the same format where at the end of the meeting, we all take turns kind of talking about like what we've done?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so are you, a couple of items that I don't know if are going to come up then, or whether they can be mentioned now, because I do believe they both involve TAL. One you mentioned in passing, which is the situation of the possible sale of the community center to the town. Are you going to talk about that later?
I don't have anything further on it right now. You know, I've been mayor for 9 days. I have met with Supervisor Butler, and we had an initial conversation where he sort of filled me in on their end of things, but without another meeting with Tal and possibly Stefan to be fully up to speed on our side of things, I don't have anything to add to that tonight.
Okay. The second thing that I would like to open as a kind of a standing item, and I assume this will involve Tal too, is the pilot for Athens Gen. I don't know if people know what that's about or have been paying attention to it, or if work has been happening on that offline.
That comes up in 2022, correct? Does anybody know the answer? That's what I was told.
I believe that's true, yes.
So maybe we could table that until the next meeting as well.
Okay.
Thanks. Tal, is that all you've got?
Yep, that's all I have. Like I say, I'll hang on until about 6:55 and then I'll
Okay.
take off.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
We have next DPW Director Anthony Proper up to bat. Don't forget to unmute.
There you go. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot. I talked to you about the parking lot being paved.
Yeah.
We have to, I asked you the other day, do we have to put that like in the paper to go out to bid, or can we just get 3 prices from, like Peckham and Calaruso and
I was
Now-
hoping you could, but I think because of what our procurement plan says, the cost price point on that is high enough that you need to go out to bid. It might be worth reviewing our procurement plan because it was created in 2009, and perhaps those price limits should be raised because the price of everything is so much more. But I think the way it stands now, we do have to go out to bid.
because I don't have like any, exact measurements of what it's got to be to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because if you go out to bid, the package has to be really specific, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tal, before you split, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I can work with Anthony with that. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's done pretty much every year, and it isn't necessarily, we don't have to tell them exactly what we're going to be getting, but the different kinds of material that we do need. And oftentimes we accept all the bids anyway, because you just never know about availability.
Right.
In the first instance, you go with the lowest bidder and do what you can do. But if it's just not available and we've got a job that's got to get done, then we have to roll back onto the other producers.
Because when we do the roads, we just get it under the OGS contract.
Yeah.
And could we do something the same as that if we put on the contract with these guys?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So what Anthony, the other part of the question was, does it have to be put in the paper, or can he just get 3 quotes?
Well, if we're going under the OGS bid, we don't even have to do that.
Okay,
Because OGS will have already done all of that.
all right.
And just for those of us that don't know, what is OGS?
Office of General Services, it's a state bid.
There you go.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I guess you don't have to do the full going out to bid, Anthony.
Okay, then
All right.
I'll just let them know it has to go under OGS state bid.
I'll send you guys an email to connect on that so we can talk about it further.
And just so that you know too, under our procurement policy, there are different levels. And depending on how much you're spending, yes, you either have to get just one verbal quote, maybe 2 verbal quotes, 3 written quotes. And then when you get to a certain level under the state law, and they've changed it recently, but I believe it's 30,000 for materials and 40,000 for public works job. Then you have to go out to bid. But if the project, whether it's materials, computers, whatever, if you're buying even trucks off of the state bid where they've already done all of that stuff, you don't have to do the bidding. You can just piggyback on them.
Okay,
And beyond that, you can even piggyback on towns and counties as well, as long as they have done the procurement policy notices. You can just tag right along. I know that a lot of towns buy trucks off of the Onondaga County bid because they have done such a good job with getting trucks that municipalities need.
okay,
So it's just a little background.
all righty.
Which parking lots are we talking about?
The new building, our new DBW garage. Right now, it's, Stefan wanted to leave it as stone, but when the cars come down through there to go to the brush pile, I need a dust mop like every 10 minutes. Our new trucks, we wash them and the next day, they look like they've never been touched. So. The other thing I have is, do you want to talk about the parking on North Franklin now, or wait till later?
We can talk about it when, can you stay for the whole meeting? We can talk about it when the resolution comes up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing I have is we fixed the one water main leak on Second Street, right below Amy's house, and we also fixed that sewer line that was missing 2 feet of pipe. We actually end up cutting a 9-foot piece pipe out and replacing it. So those 2 are fixed. We've been trying to do the one on Union Street, but things aren't going according to plan too well. I'm gonna talk to Joe and see if maybe we can get a little help to do that next week, because we had a little situation in the village here. The other thing is, we made a water tap for the community garden, so they don't have to drag a hose.
That's good, thank you.
So they have that there. We put up your bags, which I talked to you about today. We didn't make it there to lower the other posts, but we will.
That's okay. That's just for super tall people.
And is there we're gonna have any discussion on hiring another person?
Yeah, actually, I believe that Mary Jo put it in the tentative budget. So I don't think we're gonna talk about it tonight, but
Well, that's fine.
yeah, I think that was the goal for this year.
I was gonna tell you, if you are thinking about it, if we could put the ad in the paper in May,
Okay,
and then that way it'll be in the budget for June.
okay. Sounds good.
And I am going to be taking my last weeks of vacation starting the May 1st,
Okay, and you'll be gone 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Okay,
I have 3 weeks left, but I'm always around. If something comes up, I'm only a phone call away.
well, we'll try not to bother you.
That's all right if you do, yeah, whatever. And the other thing I got is getting prices on that culvert pipe on Union Street.
Mm-hmm.
We did it 2 years ago, and we were going to use our CHIPS money for that.
Yeah,
And we didn't have enough money to do the job.
uh-huh.
But I kind of believe that, when we get the prices on it this year, we may have enough money in chips this year to get that done.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be working on that, just so you know.
Yeah, I noticed that it was carried over from last year when I looked at the budget, so,
Yeah, so,
yeah,
I think that's about all I have.
okay. Thank you.
All right.
Wayne, you're next.
The only thing I have is the new turnout gear that we just bought. I tried saving some money without purchasing them, but unfortunately the bailout stuff does not work with the new gear.
And
So-
these are the ropes that
Yeah.
attach for you to, yeah,
Right, in case we're in a situation we need to bail out
there you go.
That's what they look like.
yeah. So actually, this is the reason right here, this tether right here, it cannot be on the new gear because this actually causes a person to actually fall at least about 2 feet. It actually happened during training. So luckily, I mean, everything was okay, but it caused the rip his pants. So,
Yeah,
But,
we don't want to rip those pants. They were
no,
expensive.
no. So, you know, I was trying to save a couple bucks, but it didn't work out too well. So the price to outfit all 13 sets is $32.64.
$30,264. You know what? You sent me a quote today and I don't think I remembered to send it to the rest of the board.
Mm-mm.
You guys didn't get that. Hold on, it's been a crazy day. Because I forwarded it to myself. Here it is. I'll just forward it to you, to the guys on the board members, right now. I don't think I need to screen share this. It's still in the budget. Yes, Wayne?
Yes.
Okay. So we will need board approval for that, though. Just go ahead and forward this to you guys. And yes, it is a quote for $3,264. And that's just no change. So I need to get a resolution to approve the spending of the $3,264 on the bailout rope.
I'll offer that.
All right.
I'll second.
All right.
That's Dawn, that was Gail and Nancy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So carries. You got your ropes. All right. Is there anything else on yours?
I know we were going to talk about the truck, but because of everything, you guys have a lot to talk about tonight. So I talked to a couple of the members and we decided we'll push it off to maybe next meeting or even next month's. I know a lot of the guys want to rather have it live, you know, so they can all be there.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end of the meeting tonight, about that plan. All right. Well, I sent everyone the proposal, the plan that you guys made. I appreciate it. It's really thorough and it's really good for us to be educated on your gear and your needs. So I don't think having more time to consider it is a bad thing. Thank you. Did you have anything else tonight?
Nope, that's it.
Oh, great. Thank you, Wayne. Police, I think we have Jeff tonight.
Good evening. Unless there's any questions for the department, Chief Massey and Sergeant Tricasio didn't have anything substantial to report.
They need a new transmission in the police car, the 2009 Ford.
Yes, we haven't got all three quotes yet.
Okay,
One of them's coming in tonight or tomorrow morning. We should have it in our fax. I guess they had issues with their email. So we're just waiting on that last one, and then we'll have the 3 to present.
okay, thank you.
Sounds good. Is that all for the police?
I believe so.
Okay, so now you're up for code enforcement.
Excellent. So we obviously there's a situation going on with Brick Row. So we're working with the residents and Mr. Molino to ensure that everything is going within code, and that we're not going to have any. We'll have this smooth as possible. I say that, but you know, there's are plenty of concerns from the residents. So we'll try to have a smooth process here, and whether or not, again, there's nothing has been approved. And all the work having been completed thus far is within village code, and within other rules, laws, regulations within New York, DEC, other uniform code items. So at this time, there is nothing from a code violation or code enforcement standpoint. And we'll continue to see what Mr. Molino produces for the planning board. I'm stepping on Maggie's toes a little bit by saying that. I'm sure she'll have more to say on that. But that's where we're at with that. The other,
If I could just jump in real quick, I'm sorry, Jeff. Just to amplify a little bit about that. Yeah, Maggie and the planning board do a really good job, and they are going to look at that application very closely, and they're going to check everything. We have a really good site plan and subdivision law on the books right now, and they are very good at implementing that. On top of that, we are establishing an escrow account to pay, you know, that the applicant will have to fund to pay for our village engineer to review everything that gets submitted. So it's not going to just be where we're taking the applicant's word at face value. It's not that we don't trust them, but it is good to have our own independent engineer take a look. And I'll also be reviewing things as well as they get submitted. So it's a long ways off. Nothing's been approved, but there is a process, and it will definitely be followed.
And,
yeah, thanks.
yeah.
Go ahead, Mayor.
I'm
Go ahead, Mayor.
not sure if you guys saw, I don't remember if I CC'd you, Tal, but I did reach out to Jason and connected him with Maggie.
Yep.
So they're
Yep.
getting started on that work now.
Yep.
One other thing that I think merits being said, which we've said to each other on internal emails, but I think it's helpful to state publicly, is that the property owner is completely within his rights to clear cut that land. That does not require any kind of approval or permit. Any further development is going to require approval or permit, and Tal spoke to that. He's also within his rights to, I guess in the past, people have parked on that property, but that's not something that people are permitted to do indefinitely. So everything that's been done so far has been by the books, completely legal and appropriate. And as you said, Tal, any further activity and development will also be done per requirements.
Yes.
Thank you, Josh. Anything else?
I'll be
Jeff?
back.
Bye, Tal. See you later.
Yeah, thanks everyone for extrapolating on that a bit more. That's correct. I would like to caveat as well that he's also allowed to dig holes. So digging a pit for a future foundation, as long as there's no footings being in place or stone or concrete or any other materials being placed within that hole in the ground, he's also meeting code with that too. To move on from that, but I'm sure it'll come up again tonight. We need to get an engineer to do a wind survey. So the Hudson River Valley has a special designated wind zone as per New York State Uniform Code. And the previously ascribed wind construction requirements for new homes, as per that wind rating, we are now required to produce our own wind rating. And I am not an engineer to do that on my own. And we're requesting that the board consider hiring an engineer to conduct that survey to develop a wind rating for future construction. This comes into play with, we have a couple modular companies for individuals trying to build within the village that are requesting that information for them to complete the modular constructions. Previously, it was rated at 90 before this determination a couple years ago was made. I spoke with the town code enforcement. They have not done that. So it's not like we could piggyback off something that they've already done. But we as the village and being within that designated wind zone, do have to come up with something and then report it to the state so that we can have that on file.
And this isn't in reference to Brick Row. This is just in general for the
This
village.
is just general. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't we talk about that further at our meeting tomorrow? And then is it urgent? Can we get them online at the next meeting?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question about that? Jeff, you said that we can't piggyback on with the town since they haven't done anything. Are they interested in having this done as well? Could we go in on it with them and save some money maybe?
I was going to propose that if we were going to have that extended discussion tonight. I would hope so, yes, but I haven't had an in-depth discussion with the town code enforcement about whether or not they want to do that. I think that they are still using that 90 mile an hour previously ascribed rating. And I'm not sure if they have an interest to go further. This came up not because New York was knocking on our door, so to speak, or giving us a call, but rather a company emailed us. We said we didn't have one at this time, and then they asked the state, and the state said, you guys need to do this. But then we weren't given a timeline on that either. It's been a couple of years and no one's asked about it before. So, you know, I'm not sure if that was something that had come up before or not, but I think I'm going off on a tangent here about your question, Dr. Postman. I would hope that we could combine with the town and split the bill.
Thank you.
I will check in on that. Anything else?
Barring any questions from the board, we don't have anything else pressing at this time.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Seth, you're up.
Good evening, everybody.
Seth.
Everybody get a copy of the report I sent or Mary Jo sent?
Yep.
Good, okay. Water plant, everything's pretty status quo. No real issues there. Village sewer plant, we are going to be out of compliance again this month for flow. We averaged 472,000 gallons a day. We did have almost 3 inches of rain, so that's certainly attributed to it. We were basically out of compliance flow-wise for 28 days last month. So hopefully that sewer line repair that Anthony and the boys took care of will show up. I'll have a pretty good idea by tomorrow night because we're supposed to get over 1.5 inches of rain tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. Brick Row, everything's pretty much status quo there. Averaged about 7,000 gallons a day, which is pretty normal. No days where we exceeded the permitted flow of 17,000 gallons. That's all I got.
Okay, thanks. Anyone have any questions for Seth?
I have a question. Seth, I think we've had this conversation many times, but if we exceed for a certain number of months in a row, it triggers a possible review and then a possible consent agreement with DEC. where are we with this most recent month in that process?
My guess is we're going to be there. We've been out of compliance for flow for the last 4 months straight. So that's going to definitely get somebody's attention. You know, whether it will certainly open a discussion. And whether they will move to consent, you know, that's up to them. We'll just have to wait and see. It's the kind of thing that, you know, we wait and see what they say.
So that was my question. Is that your advice to us, is just to wait and see? There's nothing proactive or preemptive that we should be doing in terms of preparing for being approached by them?
Well, the only thing that you could do, other than what you're doing already, would be to do what they call an inflow and infiltration study. And that would require hiring an engineer. And they would come through and they would analyze the system. They normally do it when it's dry, and then they do it again when it's raining. They pull manholes, see where the flow is greater, and you know they go through a whole analysis, and that would pinpoint where the issue. Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did we do that in 2019?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't know that.
Okay. What was the smoke testing for?
That is something that is part of an I&I study, would be the smoke test, because that will show you where you have problems. But smoke testing doesn't show you everything. You know, it doesn't always come up out of the ground. So to be proactive, you might consider, you know, talking to the engineers about an I&I study and getting quotes and things on that. That's really all you can do.
Madam Mayor, I would like to suggest that we think about the following. I believe we are potentially in 2 to 3 months going to be getting a $90,000 slug of money. You know this, I know, in stimulus funds from the feds, and with another similar amount a year later. And there's a limited number of things that it can be spent on, and our board will decide that. But one of the things that appears to me the most appropriate and that it can be spent on is the underground water infrastructure, sewer, water, and stormwater transit. And as I think we recall, we have been working with Delaware Engineering. We applied for a CDBG $50,000 planning grant as well. So we have a lot of kind of balls in the air, possibly an approach by DEC for being out of compliance, federal stimulus money that's coming, the planning grant. And it might make sense to sooner rather than later just have a check-in meeting with yourself and Seth and the engineers and DPW to kind of just talk about all of these moving parts and what our kind of strategy and thought is, just so that, you know, forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah, there's still a lot of things to figure out as far as that stimulus money goes as well. And I'll probably ask for your help with that. Loop us in to a conversation with Delgado's office to see what we do to bring that across the finish line. I spoke a bit to Supervisor Butler, because at first it looked like they were only going to distribute to the towns and we would have to receive our funds through them. But it appears as if we may be able to get them directly to the village now. So let's have a further conversation on that for sure. And then we'll figure out the best way to allocate those funds. And definitely on the informational meeting that I was on with the congressman's office, that they said that water and sewer infrastructure was an allowable usage. So
another big ally for this, for us on this, will be NICOM, which is definitely looking out for cities and villages, not so much the towns. They have their own association. So they will be a good resource to kind of help us make sure we get across the line.
that's why I put you in charge of getting that money, Josh.
I'm working on it, Madam Mayor. I'm working.
Thank you. Thank you. Is that all for now, Seth?
That's all I got.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Good night.
Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, now we're on to all of the myriad applications that we have before us. The spring has sprung and everybody's ready to plan, which is good to see after a year of nothing. So let's just go through them one by one. First, we have the EJA annual 5K. Now this came to us on March 10th, but we requested a COVID plan. And so it came back and it's got attached to it, if everybody can see at the bottom, that they have been working in conjunction with Greene County Public Health and the school district to ensure that they're hosting the event safely. Everyone will have to wear a mask. They're staggering the start times for the race so that they can run in smaller groups, and they'll be providing hand sanitizer and face masks to everyone in participation. Everyone will have to register so that way if there is something goes wrong, that'll make for easier contact tracing, and they'll be foregoing the post-race activities and ceremony. So when it's over, everybody will disperse. I find this sufficient. Does anybody on the board have anything to add?
You know, my background is a public health medical doctor. I was the health commissioner in Westchester, and I just want to commend this crew for their thoughtful planning, and I support what they're proposing to do. It makes very good sense.
Thank you, Josh. The only other ask from EJA, and Gail, I'll need your help with this. They just want to make sure that they get some time up on the community sign across from Stewart's, and I know you're the woman to make that happen. So put that on your list. Okay, so in that case, can I get a motion to approve the facility use application for the EJA annual 5K?
I would like to do that.
All righty, Josh.
I'll second.
Gail, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so carries. We got a 5K. Let me pull up the next one with my little thingy. Okay, number 2 is application for use of community facilities on October 9th for Dennis Murphy and Jess Cochran. They are getting married and they would like to do it in the Riverfront Park. 40 to 50 people. They'll be using the gazebo. They'll have electric for, I'm guessing they'll have some kind of entertainment or dancing. Oh, this says they're just having the ceremony, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that's October 9th. I'm assuming that there's no conflicts of any kind, because none were stated. So can I get a motion to approve Dennis and Jess's wedding on October 9th?
I just have one question.
Sure.
They don't have, they left the time ending as uncertain. They start at 9.
Is there a limit to how long they can book out the park for a wedding? Should we go back at them and ask for an end time? Or do they
does it mean they can have it till 4? What does that mean?
If it's just for a ceremony, presumably it wouldn't be that long, but it might be helpful to clarify. And it also might be helpful to clarify. I sent around earlier today that they've just announced new rules for group gatherings.
Okay.
In the same way that we asked EJ Arthur for that information, which they kindly gave to us. If we are going to ask for an ending time, perhaps we can also share with the Mr. Murphy and Ms. Cochran the rules for gatherings and see what their thoughts are with regard to that.
Sure. I saw that you sent that. I did not get a chance to look at it yet. They're within like the number of people, but let's ask them for an end time just to be clear and present them with the COVID rules and see where they're at with that. I mean, theirs isn't until October, so probably the rules will change a lot by then, but we don't know.
Those, and I did read those rules, and it's The guidelines are for outdoors, 200 people, and they're well within that.
Well, let's just find out what their thoughts,
Yeah.
are, what they're doing for our COVID plan, and we'll get an end time just to be clear. So, Dawn, can you just put down to ask them those questions, please?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. All right, so we'll leave this one. They have time to plan their wedding, so we'll leave this one until next go around. All right, number 3. Okay, this is where we get into the 2 applications for the same day. 3 and 4. Well, no, 4 is not that, but I'm going to skip over 4 for a moment and go to number 5, because we have the proposed date for the street festival is September 18th now. And we have a couple that was planning to have their wedding, their ceremony just in the park, and then they're getting married at, or they're having their reception at Stewart House. Gail, you had some contact with these folks about timing or sharing the space or something?
The woman just asked me, about whether we were having the festival. And the festival committee, we met after that, and we are limiting significantly the number of vendors that we're going to have to allow them to have parking and things like that. But people at the Stewart House aren't happy that I suggested that maybe they hold the ceremony over on their outside.
Yeah.
So that's where the issue is.
Well, I'm apt to go with the street festival since it's a longstanding Athens tradition and we all missed it last year. Any other thoughts from the board on this?
Yes, I actually favor the couple because the Stewart House, they sent a letter to us. I think we've all seen it, that they typically anticipate the July date for the street festival, and they plan their calendar around that weekend, not taking on any special events or a full hotel. As you know, weddings are planned months, sometimes even longer in advance. And apparently they've contracted to host a wedding of 50 guests on the 18th with a full hotel buyout. They've got guests scheduled to travel to Athens for the weekend. They're concerned about parking.
If you're having your wedding at the Stewart House, you should be concerned about parking anyway, because there's really not much parking there.
And also, why can't the Stewart House let them use their outside area?
I asked her about that.
Because she doesn't want to close that for that. So the village should close the park for that, but the Stewart House shouldn't close their outside area for that if there's a conflict.
And I also think the bottom line is the couple seems to be agreeable to holding their wedding ceremony in the Stewart House, and it is the couple's wedding. It's not the Stewart House's wedding. So I think it's basically the couple's decision. If they're willing to accept a compromise, then I don't see what the issue is.
I didn't know, this is the first that I've heard that Chris and Alyssa are willing to hold their ceremony. You're saying, Nancy, inside the Stewart House itself?
No, outside on the docks, on the garden area.
The River Grill area?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the concern by the Stewart House was that would be an evening of, that's kind of, they only have so many evenings and weekends, and that since I believe the ceremony is scheduled to start at 4 p.m., that would be kind of a period of time of foregone income. I'm also just a little concerned about the message that we are sending to businesses in Athens. If we as a board say, it kind of doesn't matter that you've gone to all this trouble, that we want to go ahead with the date for something for the public. I'm just concerned that it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of businesses regarding this. So I'm gonna vote in favor of the wedding application for those reasons, though.
But Josh, you are in favor of alienating a nonprofit organization that has contributed many things to the village?
No,
That-
no.
Yes, you are. That's what you're saying.
Well, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is,
And the wedding ceremony lasts about an hour, according to what the girl from the Stewart House said. So just close your outside bar for that area, for that time frame, and then you can reopen for the evening.
Okay, I've been in weddings for 30 years. Let me talk to these people. I'll talk to the Stewart House. If you say the couple is willing to compromise and the Stewart House is not there yet, let's table this for a minute and see if I can't come up with a solution that would, or we can't come up with a solution that could please everyone. You know,
And also, please keep in mind that in order to schedule a street festival, there's, like, we already have the fireworks set up. We have vendor applications. We have we have tents ordered, you know, like, things are already placed. So in order to reschedule the street festival, it's possible that it won't happen.
Hey, Gail. I just have a question. Are you gonna block off all of Water Street like we always do? From Stewart's down?
No, only from 2nd Street South.
Okay, so you're gonna allow parking on Water Street?
Right, and my suggestion is that we put no parking up in front of the Stewart House to allow for their guests. I mean, I think we're,
Okay, well, what I'm getting at is the people are gonna be walking from Stewart's down to the park. So now you're gonna have all those cars trying to get out because 2nd Street's the one way going down and they have to go out towards Stewart's. So now you're gonna have people walking down the road and they're gonna be trying to get in there to park. Because what I'm saying is there's really gonna be no room for those people to park at the Stewart House anyway, because although everybody that's gonna go to the park for the street festival is gonna park on Water Street. So you're really not gonna have any parking down there for 50 cars anyway. You know what I'm saying?
think of different things that we could compromise on, and we just expected that the Stewart House could also compromise with us.
I was just curious if you're blocking that whole Water Street off like we always did, so people can walk up and down the road.
I just want to say I support you, Amy, in an effort to kind of split the baby and find a way, if possible, to get everybody to give a little bit so that we don't disappoint this couple on their, for their wedding, the most important day in their lives. And yet we also don't disappoint all the people who've been looking forward to the street festival, especially since we missed it last year. It's a tough situation, but
we've had a solid year of cancellations on anything celebratory. So maybe some more details on the wedding, if we can reach out to the couple and find out what exactly their needs are, because my experience would be that you wouldn't have 50 people driving in to go to the wedding. You'd probably, especially if they're staying in the hotel, you might have a bus from here or there. And so let's just get a few more details on this wedding and see if we can't figure out a way to get them hitched and then have our festival.
I'm sure even just reaching out to the Stewart House manager, Audrey Lent, and from the mayor and a conversation with her, even just that connection will help a lot.
Okay, so let's table these for now. And Dawn, you keeping track of everything that's getting tabled so I can remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I am.
And I will reach out to Audrey, and Gail, you and I will have another conversation about what you've spoken to the couple about. Wedding 9/18. Okay, so backtracking to application number 4. This is for the cultural center to have their art classes in the park. It's a nice thing that they do. So does anyone have any questions about that? No? One we can just go ahead and approve this one?
Yes,
Yay! All right, art classes for everyone. Can I get a motion to approve this facility use application, please?
I make the motion.
All righty.
I'll second.
All right, Nancy, Gail, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So carries. Now we were up to 5, now we're skipping to 6. This one is for Spring Community Arts. Okay, this one confused me a little bit. Who has the skinny on Community Arts Day? They wanted to do chalk drawings on the street in front of the cultural center and then around the corner by Brad and Patrice's building.
Yeah, and then they also said that they had attached, like, I didn't get images 6.
Yeah,
I only
I
saw
got
3.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's okay. They already checked with all their neighbors to see if they're okay with them doing that. They're going to do chalk drawings, so when it rains, they'll be gone. Does anyone else have any questions about this?
I think it's cute.
Yeah, I think it's nice. Josh, anything?
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah.
Okay, so there's another one we can approve. Anybody want to make a motion to approve Spring Community Arts Day on Saturday, May 1st?
Chalk drawings forever.
All right, Josh.
I'll second.
They in and of themselves cannot be forever. Nancy, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so carries. That's Arts Day. Great. Okay, we're through all these applications. Oh, we have a water sewer connection application. This is, I believe this is my first one of these. Everything looks in order to me. Now, the one question that I did have is they have an address in Schenectady. So is this their home? Are they moving here? Do they get charged the local rate or the outside of the village rate? Does anybody know? Okay.
Moving here, I'd posit that they get charged the local rate.
Yeah, if this is their new home here. Okay, well, that's neither here nor there. We can still approve it and they can figure out how to charge it in the office.
Amy,
Yes,
Sorry.
what property is that for?
it is 19 Murphy Drive.
Yeah. Years ago, when they did that water and sewer line up there,
Mhm.
Jimmy Steenberg put that in there. Those connections are already made. I don't know if he paid the village for the extra connections or when they turned it over what they did.
Huh.
Anthony,
Yes.
they didn't pay. We checked into it.
Okay. All right. So then you got to charge them the rate for the water and the sewer.
Yeah, and they get charged the local rate, not the outside rate.
Okay, that's all I was wondering. I know I talked to you and Mary Jo about it, but I didn't hear anything back. That's why.
Because they have a plumber list
Yeah.
and everything.
So their connections are already there. Only thing they have to do is hook up to it when they get their house there.
Oh, okay. Okay. So can I get a motion to approve a new sewer and water hookup for Michelle Lacourte at 19 Murphy Drive?
So moved.
All right, thank you, Josh.
I'll second.
Thank you, Gail. All in favor?
Aye.
So carries. Thank you. Okay. Now we're back on the agenda. Did anyone have any questions on the minutes? I saw, Josh, you sent something.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that under the CAC, my first name is spelled as John, but it should be Josh. But more importantly, my term should be to April 2023 rather than April 2022, because if you look, you'll see that if that's the case, then we have 3 for 2022 and 3 for 2023, which is kind of the split that we're trying to maintain so that we never have, too many people going off the board at once.
Yeah, the date was my fault because remember you clarified it for me whose terms were up when. So I had originally put 2022 for you, and then I changed it in my notes, but I forgot to note it to double check with MJ. So that will be changed. Other than that, any comments on the minutes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the organizational meeting from April 5th?
As
I'll
amended.
offer.
As amended.
As amended.
I'll offer.
All right, Nancy,
Second.
Josh, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so carries. Did everybody get a chance to look at the vouchers?
Yes.
Yes.
Any questions?
Just a quick question, not about anything specific, but since I've been off the board for 6 months, I just want to make sure, we're no longer doing physical signatures on these at this point until COVID is over?
Yeah, we've been doing them this way to minimize people going to the office and all that good stuff. So this has just been the method for a while. And then this will be my first go around, but I'm pretty sure I have to go in and look over everything and sign it anyway. So I'll be in there, tomorrow or the next day to take care of that. So yeah, this is the method now, for now.
Yeah.
So can I get a motion to approve the vouchers?
I'll offer.
All right,
I'll second.
all righty. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so carries. Now the resolution approving local law 4, which we discussed at the beginning of the meeting, the overriding of the tax levy limit in case it is needed for the 21-22 budget. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second.
all righty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody. Okay, so carries. Okay. So the next law was originally listed as local law 7 of 2020. It is now local law 5 of 2021. This is the big one, the no parking on North Franklin Street. I'll read the resolution. Whereas the village board has held a public hearing on October 28th, 2020, and opened the matter for further discussion on March 24th, 2021, in order to hear public comment regarding amending Article 220 Vehicles and Traffic Law, Section 220-13, parking prohibited at all times in certain locations, to add a new portion of North Franklin Street to the list of streets on which parking is prohibited. And after much deliberation by the village board and consult by various departments in the village, such as the AVFD, DPW, and APD, and taking into consideration emergency-related matters, it has been determined that in the best interests of the village, be it resolved that the village board approves adopting local law number 5 of 2021, amending the vehicle and traffic law section 220-13, parking prohibited at all times in certain locations, to add a new portion of North Franklin Street to the list of streets which is prohibited. Just a quick note before we vote, we have heard everyone on this subject. And at our last meeting, attempts were made to try to mitigate the misery that this may cause to a handful of residents on North Franklin Street. I myself thought we could cheat it back a little bit, but when Mayor Bradisich was still in office, he and Anthony went and measured the width of the road. And while there is a section where it's wide enough, it is not a very large section. So it goes from being too narrow to being just wide enough to being way too narrow. If I can, let me see if I can screen share something for a minute. Yeah. Will this work? Hold on. Now you're seeing this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here was what they came up with, and they sent this to the board, and this is why we did not have a third public hearing on this. There's a very small portion of the road where it gets to the point where you can allow parking on both sides, but with the width of some of our newer safety vehicles and plows, it's just too much of a safety concern and liability concern as well. So the decision has made to leave the law as it stands and vote on it as such. The parking will be prohibited on the west side of the street, beginning at number 30, moving north to Market Street. As you can see, the fire engine is 9 feet wide, and there's a portion of the street that's under 8 feet. And even over here where you have 11 feet, it's just too iffy, particularly with the plow that's at almost 10 feet wide. You know, I just can't see leaving the village open to potential injury or loss of property and or liability, you know, if we damage property with the plow or something like that. So that's where we're at. And I'd like to vote on this tonight. This has been hanging out for an incredibly long time. A lot of attempts have been made to make this perfect for everyone, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be that way. It is what it is. So can I get a motion to pass resolution for local law number 5 of 2021, please?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Gail.
I'll second.
Thank you, Nancy.
Amy, are you going to have any discussion before we vote?
We've had months of discussion. Gail, would you like to add something?
Yes, I would. I would like to add that we should give like a 3-month dispensation to the gentleman with the electric car.
You're right. I had that in my notes. Thank you. Mr. Rosales owns an electric car. I was going to say 60 days. The recommendation, if your recommendation is 90, we can discuss that. It is a hardship because he really can't, you know, it's not like he doesn't take gas, he's got to plug it in. So if we can give Mr. Rosales a dispensation for, what do we say? I was going to say 60. Gail, if you think it's 90 is better, we can do that.
Matt, what do you think? What's a good time frame?
Well, I guess it depends on, you know, we had to put a driveway in, so it depends on contractor availability and parts and these sorts of things. So I'd say 90, but I'll just aim to get it done as fast as I can.
That's great. Let's say 90 days. And then, you know, if you're having a hard time, I know it's hard to get contractors now because of all the work going on. Just come back, you know, come back to the board and we'll revisit, but definitely try to get it done as soon as possible.
Thanks.
So Matt gets 90 days to rectify because he can't charge his vehicle. He'll be going nowhere. So let's just note that. Now, how do we, oh, Tal's still not back.
Amy, I would like to just speak since I haven't been on the board. And I know that from that map that you showed, the drawing, it appears that if you look, there are the different areas of North Franklin Street are color coded with red at the northernmost portion, green in the middle, and then yellow as caution on the southernmost portion. And there's been a lot of talk about liability and danger and safety. But from my perspective, it appears that the true safety issue is at the northernmost end, where it is just simply too narrow for a fire truck to go by, whereas at the southernmost portion, that is not so much safety as it is convenience for the plow trucks.
Do you feel comfortable parking your car on a road with 11 feet of clearance with a 10-foot, nearly 10-foot plow coming through, a 9 feet 8-inch plow coming through?
I'm not, that's a bit of a provocative question. I think my perspective is that we have some very good plow drivers. We always have. That there are almost certainly other streets in the village where it's not quite wide enough for plows to get by. That what happens in any community, if the plows cannot get through, is that they just bypass an area and come back. This also presumes that there will be cars in the snowstorm parked on, or after the snowstorm, parked on both sides, and each car, all the cars on both sides are parked 2 feet away from the curb. That's kind of was the assumption in the map. So if there's a snow emergency and people are told ahead of time not to park on one side, that solves that. If people don't both park 2 feet away from the curb, then there's also more room. And if all those things do happen, then it's more of an inconvenience to the village, a temporary inconvenience to the village rather than a permanent inconvenience to the residents in that quarter of a block. So I am feeling like we should not take anything from our residents unless we absolutely have to, and which we must in the northernmost portion for safety. I'm less confident that we need to do that in the southernmost portion of that half block for convenience.
Okay, the thing is that this matter has been under discussion since you were on the board. That's how long we've been talking about that. Now, if we'd like to hear from our talented plow drivers again, do you have something to say about the width between and what happens when there is snow and there is visibility problems, and what would happen if you plowed somebody's car right into their house? Or, you know, I
think that's a little dramatic, but.
But didn't we vote?
Amy,
yeah.
when we get a big snowstorm and they shovel their sidewalks and then they throw the snow out in the road, now they park their car, now they're even further out in the road. And what is the big inconvenience? Because they have to park their car on one side and walk an extra 5 steps to get into their house? Because I have a driveway, and when I park my vehicle in the driveway, I still have to walk to my front door and get in. And I don't drive my car inside my house to get in the house.
I think the concern is that there isn't enough parking on the one side of the street to accommodate both rows of houses.
One side, there's like 3 cars that you guys live down there that have to move to the other side of the road. The only convenience is you have to walk across the street. In your circumstance, I understand you have an electric car, but you're putting in a driveway. Now we have 2 cars that are going to be inconvenienced. I'm more inconvenienced when we get a big snowstorm and I got to try to sneak down through there with a snowplow. And then when I can't get through, what do? Leave the snow in the middle of the road, like Josh said, and then back up and go somewhere else? Now nobody gets through.
Is this the only place in the village where it's potentially too narrow if everybody parks?
Probably not. Probably not.
No, it's probably not. But now you want to resolve the whole thing? You really want to resolve the whole thing? Make the whole village odd even side parking all year round. Now everybody's got to park on one side one day, one side on the other side every day of the year. Problem solved.
Decisions weren't come too lightly, and nobody wants to inconvenience.
Nobody wants it.
But you know, this is just what it is. We're going to vote on this law now. I have Gail making the motion. I have Nancy as the second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, and I will vote aye. So the law carries. Thank you all. I apologize for the inconvenience. Okay, moving on.
Amy?
Yeah.
May I just ask when this is effective?
According to that is a good question. Thank you, Mario. I believe it's, as all of the laws generally state, it's effective as soon as it is filed with the Secretary of State. I don't have a copy of it on here. The copy's on the website. I believe it's effective as soon as it's filed with the Secretary of State. So it wouldn't be like right now. But
But would it be, will we get a notice?
yeah, I can do that. As soon as
Okay,
it's filed.
and will there be signs put
Yeah,
up?
we'll put signs up. Yep.
Okay,
Anthony, you have signs, right? Or Wayne, whoever's still there.
I had some, but I don't have any. I have to order some.
Okay. So, there'll be a transitional period. So the signs will go up as soon as we get them.
okay,
And then once the law is filed with the Secretary of State, which usually you saw Tal announced at the beginning of this meeting that
about the other law, it was like a
yeah, so
couple
that's
weeks.
about how long it takes, maybe a week or two.
Okay, we have another sign at the bottom of our driveway. We're at the narrowest part. And we have a snow sign at the bottom of our driveway.
Yeah.
It would be great if the two signs could be on one pole, so we didn't have a telephone pole and two poles.
Okay, I think
But
that's
I don't know
probably
if that's possible.
I don't know. I'll talk to Anthony. We'll figure that out and try to minimize the amount of signage.
Hey, Amy, I think because you're going to make that one side parking, that section would not be alternate parking during a snow emergency.
So that's fine.
Okay, great. You're right. You're absolutely right, Wayne. I wasn't even thinking about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving right along. Now we have correspondence. The first one is from George at the American Legion about Memorial Day Parade. I'm not quite, I was asked the other day about the Memorial Day Parade and I wanted to wait until we were here. I think my gut tells me that's probably okay to have the parade if everyone's masked, we're outside. I think it'll be fine to go back to the old way of doing it. I'm a little concerned because they want to have a meet and greet at the Legion Hall afterwards. So I'd like to get some sort of like COVID plan from them as we've been requesting from everyone. But other than that, I think that the Memorial Day Parade will be a go, barring any unforeseen giant tsunamis or COVID spikes.
In the past, weather depending, that they have done it outside at the Legion.
Oh, at the Legion, maybe I can ask them if they can gather out
Yeah.
back there. They're usually pumping the barbecue pretty hard, so that would be nice.
Yeah.
So I'll just I'll reach out to them about that, or Dawn or MJ, you can. Let's just make sure that they have some sort of COVID plan in place, and then we'll connect on the route for the parade and what they need. He's gonna need.
I can call him. I can call him this week if you want. Just ask him to submit something.
Yeah, he says he needs the assistance of the fire department, police, and DPW. I'm sure you guys have all participated in this in the past. So I don't, this is my first time being the mayor during the Memorial Day. I only got to march in one of them. The second one was COVID, so I rode in the truck with Wayne. But I'll be looking to you guys to help us just get that organized all around. So I think that one is going to be good to go. The next, yes.
Jeff here. Now that that was brought up, I did recall that Ed and Sergeant Casio and Chief Massey were wondering the extent of police participation in that, and if the board would approve additional officers in order to facilitate that parade.
I believe we will. Do we need to do that tonight, or can we do it at the next meeting? I know Sergeant Turcasio said something about you make your schedule on the 20th. So do we want to go ahead and approve the additional officers for the parade now so that they're able to make their schedule, and then we can fine tune that later? Does that sound good to everyone? Gail, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's what we should do. And I think we will also need some coverage for the 5K.
Okay.
Help out with, traffic.
5K is May 15th?
5th.
5th.
Isn't it? Oh, no, it was 5K. Sorry.
5K on 15th. Okay, Jeff, is that cool? Additional coverage for the 5K and for the Memorial Day Parade?
Yeah, that'd be appreciated. I know a number of us knew Margaret and want to participate in the 5K. So it'd be great if we could facilitate some police for that.
Absolutely. All right, so can I get a motion to provide additional police on the days of the 5K on May 15th and the Memorial Day Parade on May 31st?
So moved.
Thank you, Josh.
I'll second.
Thank you, Gail. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Amy.
Yep.
For the 5K, the fire police and a few of our members will be helping out the police department with traffic too.
Oh, great, thank you.
School reached out to me a few months ago about it. So
I am looking forward to watching other people run. I'm out of shape. So the next correspondence, this was when I was hoping Tal would be back. Maybe I'll skip this one for a minute. Oh, the next one is actually, this is just an annual report, a spring report that Iroquois sends out about the pipeline. Nancy, can we post this on our Facebook just so people can take a look at it?
Sure.
Okay. I had notes about these. And okay. The third is also something that maybe we want to post. I don't know. There's a public hearing about the Champlain Hudson Power Express. Now, this one is one that we got on the list to be informed of because the original route of it was supposedly affecting us, but now I don't believe it still is. But there is a public hearing, so on April 21st, that's a week from tonight. So maybe we want to share that just in case some of our residents are interested in knowing what's going on with that. So Nancy, I'll give that one to you also.
Okie dokie.
Thank you. The next is the Mid-Hudson Cable annual franchise fee. We've received a check from Mid-Hudson Cable in the amount of $7,440.57 in payment of the franchise fees owed to the Village of Athens for the year ended December 31st, 2020. What's odd about this, and maybe somebody knows better than I do how this works, the second paragraph of this letter says the calculation for this check is $7,599.10. However, the check was for less than that. Dawn, do you know what that's about?
It does say something about C calculation on check stub.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I can pull the check stub out and see if it has anything else on it.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned, but and we can ask, MJ. So everybody knows we got about $7,500 from Mid-Hudson Cable for franchise fees, and then we'll figure out what that accounting means. I'm sure they did it right. I'm just not too familiar with that yet. And now here's something that is a little, it's past due, and I don't know if we can still do it. Josh, you know about the Hudson Athens Lighthouse Preservation Society, correct?
Yes.
They sent something that they wanted, well, you've seen this, they wanted a letter of support for to secure a grant, but it seems as though we've missed the deadline on this because this came in like right after the last meeting. And
yeah, but what I can say is first, I am not privy to the most intimate details of the timing of this, but my guess is that they probably asked for this, as almost everyone always does, at least a few days ahead of when the actual application is due.
yeah.
So given that it said it could be postmarked, well, it said it was April 10th, it was emailed, which would have been at April 10th, or alternatively postmarked by April 12th, which would mean it wouldn't even have gotten to the Preservation League until today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think if we decide we want to support this, which I hope we will, perhaps you or the clerk, or if I'm happy to help with this, reach out to Carol or Sue with an email tomorrow saying, is it too late? Unfortunately, we couldn't get to it until last night, but we definitely want to support it, that if they say yes, we can whip something up and send it off to them real quick.
Yeah, they gave sample language, so it shouldn't be difficult. We can do that. So let's check in with them and see if they still are in need of that. I'll send an email tomorrow. I feel bad because we definitely want to support that.
I would send it to all 3 emails that are in there, to Sue Seneca, and Carol Gans, and then just the Lighthouse at Hudson Athens, just in case you don't know who's monitoring emails and given the potential time sensitivity of it.
Gotcha. So I'll email all 3 addresses on there just to say, sorry, we missed this. Do you still need the letter? And if they say yes, I will sign and get them a letter of support.
Thank you. Yeah, just a little bit of a tidbit of information, which people may or may not know, but the Lighthouse is doing some, this is the structural engineering analysis and plan, but has also done an initial LiDAR survey, which is kind of like underwater ultrasound. And it turns out there's a wrecked barge just kind of south of the lighthouse on the surface there. So it's sort of an interesting, previously unknown finding, and it just sort of adds to the intrigue and the history and the richness of that structure in our community.
That's cool. That might be a good newsletter tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the article, Jonathan Palmer wrote the article. It was in the paper today, and he said, we will likely never find out the circumstances behind this wreckage. It's a mystery.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the paper today. That's helpful, Nancy. That might be perfect timing to put it into a newsletter too, to help
Yeah.
message.
Okay. The next piece of correspondence is another one I wanted to ask Tal about. New York, State of New York Public Service Commission. This is somebody is petitioning for an order providing lightened regulations and examining the safety of Con Ed electrical transmission distribution systems. I feel like this is one of those things that we're on the list for because of many of these electrical lines run through the area. And so they just send them to all the local municipalities. I don't believe any action is needed to be taken on our part, but I will ask Tal, not now because he's not back. So I'll ask him about that tomorrow.
Yeah, if it's Con Ed, it's not.
I know. The next piece of correspondence was from a resident on North Franklin regarding the parking. She had written twice. The first one came in before I was mayor. The second one came in after I was mayor. So I've answered her, and hopefully she's not too upset with me. The next is from APAC regarding the concert series this year. They have planned 6 shows, the first of which would be held on Friday, July 30th, and then all the subsequent Fridays through to Labor Day weekend, Friday. They're hoping for that late July, there'll be no pandemic restrictions. I wouldn't count on it. And they're calculating that if it's a 50% capacity, they would have a maximum of 1,200 people allowed to enter. They have a plan for of how to track entries and, first come, first serve. I think 1,200 is far too many. I'm just, I'm their liaison too. So I'll take comment from the board on this right now, like what your thoughts are, and then I'll go to them and just have a conversation about how we need to plan to limit this more.
But they also said 1,200 with 6 feet social distancing.
It's just, I don't see how that, I'm
And
not,
I
good, I'm
thought,
not good at that kind of thing, but I really don't see 1,200 people in the park 6 feet away from each other
Yeah.
happening. So, I mean, I think they need to work harder to limit that. And I see a lot of residents shaking their heads too. Don't worry, I'm not going to let it be 1,200 people.
The other thing, Amy, that they mention in there, which I think would be very forward thinking if we're able to enforce it, is that it says if COVID vaccination passports are in operation, then they would be reviewed at the point of entry. Actually, COVID vaccination passports are in operation. There's something that New York has called an Excelsior Pass.
Yeah.
So I think we can maybe gently encourage or request that they, in their publicity, encourage attendees to sign up for the Excelsior Pass and bring that with them. It's something you can put in your phone.
Yeah, I've heard talk about, I'm not sure how, I'm sure, but as they roll it out, it'll be easier to get, but I did hear some people saying it was difficult to get. I would like to get one, but
just download, it's an app that you can download on your phone, and then I believe you upload information about your vaccination.
it's not that easy. I was able to get it from my husband. We got vaccinated together and I wasn't able to get mine. And I tried 5 times. For some reason, the information isn't matching. That's what they're saying. So
Well,
it doesn't work in every instance.
hopefully, it's April now and the bugs will be worked out, but I think that would be a great thing if they're checking that. But I still think the idea of 1,200 people in the, and what do they usually draw? I mean, they don't.
Probably 2,000 or 3,000, I wouldn't.
On an average Friday?
That park is.
Gail, how much does the street festival draw? Do we have an idea of that?
I mean, you can't even go by that because the street festival
Yeah,
is,
it's the whole street.
all the way to Warren Street.
How many
And
people?
it's all
were at
day long.
Oktoberfest?
It's all day.
Yeah, how many were at Oktoberfest?
Oh, I don't
It's
remember.
different too, because there were vendors everywhere.
And they were coming in and out.
Yeah, this needs more consideration.
I think you can ask, how did they arrive at that number of 1,200?
Well, I think, yeah, it's something about they think the capacity of the park is 2,500 people. Anyway, I just believe the numbers are grossly overestimated. So I'll just have a conversation with them about it, and we'll talk about this again at the next meeting. I'm sure there'll be several conversations between now and July.
It's fairly simple geometry. You can just figure out how many square feet each person needs to have if they're 6 feet apart from the other people, and multiply, figure out how many square feet's in the park and divide that. And then a fudge factor for the fact that people will be there as couples and families, and so it's not like every person needs to be 6 foot away.
Well, Josh, you're on the parks now.
Yeah.
Do the math. Nobody else wants to do the math.
Yeah.
But I do know that the park is 1.8 acres, but that's not just the park. It goes beyond the ferry slip. So it needs to be remeasured so that it's just the contains of the park and from the gazebo, from the bandstand, like within the confines of the actual area.
Maria?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm working with a number of different groups throughout the Catskill region and the Hudson Valley region who are doing outdoor festivals, and there are formulas that they're using. This doesn't have to be a private conversation here and a private conversation there. I think it really needs to be very, very clear and mathematical with measurements and 6 feet. And I am happy to forward the way that they're going about it. It's public knowledge.
That would be great. If you want to send that to me, that would be so helpful.
Yeah, and because I really think it gets very dicey if, someone has a conversation and then they get allowed to do a certain number of people and then somebody else says, well, that means I should be able to do that. And I just think that it lays us wide open for a lot of misinterpretation, a lot of accusations of favoritism. And I think we should just be very mathematical and clear.
I agree. Please send me that
Mhm.
formula. That would be so helpful.
But what Josh is saying is
Everything I've
basically
done has been
true. So,
canceled.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay, I think that was our last correspondence. Phew, okay. Getting back to.
Can I just ask you something?
Yes.
They're waiting so they can start to book bands. Do you think that we should allow them to go ahead and book bands or not? Because otherwise it might be too late. It's what I've been told.
All the bands are available, but yeah, I think they could go. I think they can go ahead and start booking, and then we can figure out, the capacity after the fact. Because I actually did. I have one in Claremont that they booked us a while ago, and it was all contingent. It was like, well, we don't know what it's going to be. We don't, but we want to secure you, and so I think it's okay for them to go ahead and secure their talent, and then we can figure out capacity after the fact.
Quick
I
question.
think it's fine to have the 6 concerts. We just need to figure out how many people are allowed to be at them.
Quick question on that, Amy, and I know 0 on this, and 100% on this. Would the choice of bands be in any way determined by the size of the audience? So are there bands that won't come if it's going to be less than 500 people or?
There might be. I mean, at this point, I feel like everybody's just dying to play gigs, but I know that also one of their stipulations in their first letter to the board was that they were not going to book bands that draw such a crowd, so they wouldn't have as much of a problem with crowd control. So, which is kind of nice, because maybe a lesser known band gets a chance, and maybe they make some new fans. But yeah,
I heard
there might be some bands that don't want to come if there's less than enough, but at this point, we're all so desperate to play.
I heard there's a great Athens-based band called Nighttime. They should probably.
It might still be. I don't know if we still exist. Okay, so that's great. Maria, please send me that formula. That'll be incredibly helpful. And then yes, we can let them know that they can still move forward with booking, and we'll figure out the rest of it later. New business listed here, electric charging stations. Who wants to talk to that? Josh, Gail?
I'm not sure exactly where people are with their familiarity with this. We do have money basically to put in 4 electric vehicle charging stations. That it's going to be with various subsidy and grants. It's going to be essentially no cost to the village. The decision that has to be made is whether we want to buy these or rent them, buy them or lease them. Basically, that's the bottom line. And there is financially, they're both of those decisions are about the same, few dollars here, few dollars there, and ultimately it's sort of a preference or philosophical or policy question, similar to if you're going to get a new vehicle, are you going to buy it or are you going to lease it? And I actually don't really have a specific recommendation on that for the board.
Neither did I. That's why I put it back on you.
Gail, what are
your thoughts?
I know Gail has been looking at this, closely over the last few months.
Well, the representative suggested buying.
That's right. He did.
Spoke to him. So that's all I can go by.
That feels
How
right.
Sure.
How does that affect maintenance?
I
think we get a better maintenance deal by buying, don't we, Josh?
So
Things?
when you do the math, well, first of all, when you buy it, there is you do need to buy a service plan, whereas if you rent, the service plan is included. However, that factors into the so if you don't buy the service plan with buying the equipment, it would be even cheaper. But if you buy the service plan, that brings it up to being approximately the same cost as renting. So buying includes hardware, shipping, These are cloud-based information. So there's a first year cloud information transfer service that's kind of included. There's a one-time activation fee, there's a hookup fee. And then there is a fee for years 2 to 5 for the cloud, which you have to pay extra for if you buy. It's included if you rent, but again, because when you do the math, that's included in there. So it still ends up being approximately the same. I do also want to just point out that a resident did sort of bring to my attention a few issues about location of the electric vehicle charging station, the type of charging station, adequate, the appropriate charges and so forth. And so I want to acknowledge that and say that this would, if given the go-ahead, we would definitely work with the vendor, whether it's purchase or lease, to make sure all those questions are answered.
One other question. Buy versus lease. What is the difference in, like, what's the lifespan if you buy versus if you lease? Do you get to upgrade when it gets to a certain age? You know, it's similar with a car. How does that work? And is that a factor?
Well, what we were told, and Gail, correct me if I'm wrong, is that these, it's not anticipated that the technology is going to change all that fast.
Okay.
That what we're buying now are considered state of the art, and they'll be fairly close to state of the art when the time, you know, in 5 years. But that what you're saying is true, Nancy. If for some reason, that's not the case, in 5 years, if you own it, you still own it. You have your
Right.
what you have. But on the other hand, if it's leased, there still would be probably fairly significant expense to swap out what you have for a newer version, which isn't incorporated into the calculation that I did about buy versus lease.
Okay.
I think
Thank you.
What is the time frame on not just this decision, but the installation of them once we make this decision?
I can't, there have been so many delays with, things, I don't know for sure, but I'm not aware that there's any backlog of producing these or installing these. Way back when I went around once with Anthony, we looked, at the site on the parking lot where this would be. And my guess is, I don't know, at the most that they would be up and running in 60 to 90 days. But I don't want to promise that, since
A ballpark is fine.
Work with the, with Central Hudson.
Yeah.
and
yeah,
things
you have,
like
That could slow us down.
there's a bit of there is a bit of a dance that goes on here with first prep also there's paperwork. I mean, they help us with some of the paperwork, but with the subsidy, the various payments, there's paperwork that we need to do. And I'm not sure, we may want to kind of initiate some of that paperwork and just get the nod that something terrible hasn't happened to these various programs to, make the funding unavailable, before, at least get a little bit of, support and agreement before we commit ourselves to it. But if we decide this evening buy versus lease, I'll begin the process, and I really won't commit us to anything. I'll keep the board posted at every meeting as to kind of what's happened since the last meeting. And if we get to any important decisions, I'll, ask for board input before making them myself.
That sounds good. My gut says buy, but
Mhm.
that's just me. It looks like you're all in agreement.
I agree.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so can I get a motion? Do we need to make a motion?
I think so. We're
Let's
kind of,
make a motion. We've been doing it all night. Let's do it.
I'd like to move that we, go ahead with the plan, as has been outlined, to install 4 electric vehicle charging stations in the municipal lot, to purchase those with the proviso that I will kind of be reporting back important milestones in the process as they come up to the board, and certainly not making any significant decisions, unless on anything that comes up that appears out of the anticipated or ordinary course of installation.
Sounds good, Josh. Do I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Gail, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going electric. Okay, Athens Community Farm. Oh, okay, so I have to screen share again. The whole board received this, but I'd just like to show it to everyone else real quick. Where's my little picture? Here it is. The Athens Community Farm has submitted a site plan, hopefully for approval this evening, because they want to get working so that they can grow some veggies. So this is their site plan. It looks like it's going to be a really nice place to hang out and grow some veggies and flowers and herbs and whatnot. Just wanted to show that to the community. I think a lot of you have already seen this. So there it is, the Athens Community Farm. Now they're looking to have that site plan approved. There was some discussion on insurance, need it or don't need it. Well, they need it, but it was about, should they get it? And it was decided before I took over as mayor that they would secure their own insurance for this project. And I actually ran into Sarah the other day, and she is in the process of doing that and making sure that, I believe she just will need a general liability. So she's got that online. So that is nearly completed as a task. So I think we're set, if you guys don't have any other questions, to vote to approve the site plan of the forthcoming Athens Community Farm. Can I get a motion for that?
I offer.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'll second.
Thank you, Gail. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've got a community farm coming. I'm very excited because now I don't have to grow my garden. I can just go help with that one. My garden is just a heartbreak. Under new business, recreation director is listed. Nancy, you are the woman on the youth summer rec program.
Yes.
What have you got for me?
I don't have anything yet. I spoke to Mary Jo yesterday, and we're going to put something in the paper.
Okay, great.
And that, what?
You have Jen, who did it before. Do you have her contact info? Because maybe she knows somebody that would want to do it. Like,
I'm sure Mary Jo and Dawn have it.
I have it if you need it, because I made her an email address for the summer rec program last year. So
right, and she was an editor also.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I do have a question. I mean, when we post the ad in the paper, does that have to be posted just in the paper for a while? Or can we also post it, there's that new magazine on Facebook, Porcupine Soup. They have free advertising. And then there's also the Facebook Classified. So those are other options, or does it have to be in the designated paper for a certain amount of time before we use other?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so, but
Okay.
I'll ask Tal. I'll put that on my list of ask Tal this. Ask Tal about adding ads for summer rec. Okay.
And then what about the wages for that? Is that something that we just how's that decided?
God, Nancy, you're playing Stump the Mayor.
Sorry.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe last year they stuck with what the kids had gotten the previous year.
Okay,
because we didn't hire a lot of kids last year because there weren't a lot of kids attending the program.
Right.
yeah. And you guys have,
So, I mean,
go ahead.
I can write all the wages down from last year so you have an idea.
Okay, that'd be good, because I know,
Consider minimum wage increase to $12.50.
right. That's for Greene County.
Chances are you're going to get some of the same kids to come back that were there last year. And then you could just decide probably if you want to give them a little bit more or not, but I can write down what they made last year, if that helps.
Okay, but this is just rec director now. I mean, there are other kids that were hired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
doesn't the
can write-
director, does the director hire them? How does this work?
I
Sorry, I
believe
don't-
go ahead.
You and the director will hire them.
Okay,
So
But
Okay.
I can write everything. I can write everything down for you so that you have it.
perfect. Thank you.
okay.
Yep.
So we're moving in the right direction on that.
Mhm.
Okay. Old business, community center lease and fire protection contract. I'm sorry, I don't have anything new to offer about this tonight. You know, it's been a whirlwind week and a half getting my legs under me here, and this has been a packed agenda. So I'll put in my notes to touch base on that. Gail, you have something?
I do. Rob contacted me. He said he had asked Mary Jo for certain things to go along with that fire department contract.
Yep.
And he has not received them.
You're right. He asked me as well. Go ahead. Sorry.
You know, utilities. And for the equipment. And what.
Yeah,
that
wanted
was-
an accounting.
Right, was it purchased with funds from the community foundation and things
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, I'll get with Mary Jo on that, and we'll figure out how to get him a proper accounting. I know he asked me about that when we met, but so many other things have come up since then. So we'll figure out how to get that to him. And probably Wayne, I'll need to talk to you about that too, because you know how you're spending your money, so. Okay, so that is the end of the written agenda. Now we'll do the old go round. Nancy, you want to go first? You're in my top left.
I don't really have anything since it's been 9 days and this is my first board meeting.
That's all right. You've done great. Gail?
Yes, I was contacted about a motorcycle show that the Cultural Center would like to put on. I believe it's July 3rd.
Mhm.
And they're requesting if we could close Second Street from Washington to Franklin for that. Would that be a possibility that we would consider?
I think so. I mean, we've done it before for other festivals and other things. I mean, it's just, again, it's the COVID thing. But yeah, I know they're looking to put some motorcycles. I think it's going to be a cool show.
Yeah.
But that aside, I think that's something we would consider. I guess they probably have to fill out some kind of application.
Right, and also, Michael Black said they want to use the gym.
Yeah,
to
that
do
one.
But I don't.
That one I don't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So find out more about that.
Yeah, the using the gym I'm not too keen on, especially, I mean, they're planning on putting motorcycles in there, or
I don't know. I would assume that that's what it is, but then we would have to leave it open for people
yeah,
to see it.
we can find an alternative solution to that. So yeah, I mean, closing the street off for a day for a show, I think that's fine. Putting all that stuff in the gym and leaving it open for people to come in and out, I think that's problematic. So let's see.
Summer Rec uses it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Gail, where do they want to shut the streets down?
Washington to Franklin, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, like I feel like the outdoor part is fine. The indoor part's a little weird. So let's see if there's an alternative solution to that so that they can still the vision of the show that they want to have, but we don't have to drag motorcycles across the floor of the gym that's already suffering and have people in and out of there. Okay. Anything else, Gail?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay. Josh?
A few things. First of all, I just want to publicly thank the Paddock Club, who this past weekend had quite a few volunteers out braving the dangers of the traffic on 385 to pick up what looked, I don't know, to be like 10 to 15 garbage bags of trash just in a little 2-mile stretch that they have adopted. And so that's really sort of civic selflessness exemplified. So just wanted to thank them for that. Also, I did have a resident who asked me about the New York State boat launch, access road and parking. A lot of concerns about kind of the surface, potholes, ruts, making utilization by boats difficult, jarring, potentially dangerous. I know that's not our responsibility, but the resident asked if it was possible for us to intervene with the state and any other organizations that are involved to fill the potholes and blacktop this. And I didn't have an answer for this person, but wanted to bring that up.
Does anyone know who we would, I guess we'd have to contact the Parks and Rec, right?
Stefan had been in conversation with somebody before about the upkeep of that. So maybe he could let you know.
Yeah, I'll check in with Stefan.
Amy,
Yeah.
you would have to call the Skodak Landing Park. That's their main headquarters.
Okay.
They come out up to take care of that boat launch.
Okay.
We put the floats in and out for them every year.
Okay. All right. I'll find out. I'll see if I can get some answers on that. I'm fairly certain that will not be a quick process, but I'll look into it. Thanks, Josh. Anything else?
Yes, sorry, just a couple of other items. One is just as a reminder, the Conservation Advisory Council is meeting, has its monthly meeting tomorrow, and we are very fortunate to have our state senator, Michelle Hinchy, as a guest. She's a member of the New York State Senate Environmental Conservation Committee. It's a public meeting, and just want to invite people to come who might be interested in hearing about environmental issues, both in Athens and as they apply in the state. Then two other things, Amy. One is, I'm sure you and Gail remember from a couple of years ago when we applied for the Climate Adaptive Design Studio.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a program for people who aren't familiar with it, where if you apply and you're lucky enough, you get paired with students from the Cornell University Landscape Architecture Program and their professor, and they hold a series of public meetings to get input from the public, and then they come up with like storyboards and pictures of kind of how you might modify your waterfront to kind of respond to the fact that, you know, weather and rising river levels are going to be impacting things. They've been very helpful. I think they've done it with 7 other communities so far. A couple of those communities have gone on to get $125,000 grants to begin to, because these are just schematic conceptual drawings, and they've gotten grants to begin to implement something more practical. So it costs us nothing. It's a great way to pull our community together. It kind of matches up with things that the Conservation Advisory Council and the Implementation Committee are looking at. So I just wanted to get kind of a general support from the board to begin the process. The thing that I would also be getting that is part of the application are letters of support from property owners on the waterfront. And so if anybody, if the board agrees to go ahead, if you also know other property owners on the waterfront, I'd like to talk to you about getting letters of support for them.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I think if I remember, we narrowly missed out on that program.
Narrowly missed out. And I think the fact that since then we've developed a comprehensive plan. We have a CAC, we have an implementation committee. I think we would have a very good chance of getting it this time.
I would support moving forward with that.
Okay, I see nods. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't think.
Nods, definitely. And I think at least one of our waterfront property owners wrote a support letter for that last time that is on the call right now. So
Okay.
we'll
All right.
get to the right one again.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that's great.
The last thing that I wanted to bring up is, again, you may recall that a couple of years ago, the village became a clean energy community by passing certain legislations and taking certain actions. And as a result, we got a $30,000 grant that's being used now for infrastructure improvement. So that program is coming around for round 2. They call it the leadership round. And again, it's basically you take actions and get points. And as you reach certain point milestones, you get cash awards on a first come, first served basis. It's not competitive. All you have to do is do it and do it before others do. And based on the math, we could potentially get 40,000 fairly easily, and then an additional 70,000 with some significant amount of work. But the Conservation Advisory Council is looking at this and will continue to look at it. We'll discuss it at our meeting tomorrow. But I just wanted to get a sense of the board, have you be aware of this and get a sense. No decision needs to be made tonight. What I'd like to do is have the CAC recommend I'll bring to our next board meeting kind of a menu of items, some of which may then at that point need board action. So again, this is more just an information item at this point.
That sounds great, Josh. Thank you. Yeah, really good.
I think that's it, Amy. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Josh. Okay, I have a couple of things. First, just on a lighter note, Saturday's opening day of the Little League. So that'll be a fun thing for the kids. I'll be there. Come on out and support. I think I mentioned earlier that I have
Amy,
yes.
What time is that?
Oh, 11:30 a.m. in the Little League field. I have Jason, I think I mentioned I have Jason online connected with Maggie for this subdivision at Brick Row. Jason Priesner from Lamont, who helped us with the DPW building. So they are in contact, and hopefully that is going to move things along smoothly. I did get further on Sergeant Turcasio's retirement. I got a response from Hinchy's office today with the steps that we need to take to complete this transfer, the bill that needs to be passed in order for Ed's retirement snafu to get figured out. So that's positive news for him and for us, because it's been hanging out for a while. And then one thing I wanted to bring up is that everyone's been asking when we can get back to in-person meetings, and the best answer I can come up with right now is I don't know. I was hoping for late May, but it just seems like the numbers are stagnated, and I have to say, I really like the fact that we're able to share these meetings with more people. And I don't like being in a box talking to you all. I really would rather be in a room with you all, but the ability to have more people sign on and the ability to record them and put them on YouTube so that people can catch up after the fact that can't make it has been something that I think we've grown accustomed to as a community. And there'll be a lot of production involved in trying to keep that aspect of things going. I'm not saying that I won't attempt that, but it's not going to be figured out in the next week or two. And when we went back online in October, it was because the numbers had reached 2% on the 7-day rolling average. Now we're hovering somewhere between 3.5 and 4 these days. I'd like to see it come back down to what drove us online in the first place, but I'm keeping an eye on it. I hear everybody. I also want to get back to in person, but I don't want to exclude more people than we include at this point. So it's a guessing game and a waiting game for me and for all of us. Obviously, I'll bring it to the board before that decision is made. But right now, I would say I don't know. That being said, Wayne, you had asked, the town was asking if they can use the firehouse for their meetings because they want to go back to in-person meetings. That's our decision to let them use the firehouse or not, because it's a village building. I'd like to get a little bit of input from the board on what you think about that. For now. So does anybody have anything to say about letting the town use the firehouse?
Just a quick question, Amy. We've consistently this evening asked for what the COVID precautions are going to be for any group wanting to do anything that we're supporting. And I don't know if the town has provided what they're planning to do, but I mean, if they are having small meetings and social distancing and masks and hand sanitizer and so forth, it can happen, but I didn't hear in your comments that there have been any explanations of what their COVID precautions would be.
Well, I think we would dictate them is what that would be because it's our building. So I think that if we say to them, look, you have to maintain 6 feet. Everybody has to wear a mask. Fill out the contact tracing forms that we had when we did our in-person meetings, and the hand sanitizer. And I want them to clean up and put things back in order when they're done. But if they are comfortable as a group doing that, I think it's okay to let that move ahead, unless there's strong objection. Okay.
Is there a limit to the number of people that I mean?
We'll look at what the current limits are. I think I'm not sure if there's a number for indoor anymore, if it's just 50% capacity, but I'm not sure how many people the town meetings draw. But
50%. It's 50%
of the room's capacity. Wayne, do you know the capacity of the meeting room at the firehouse there?
I believe it's over 400. I believe it is now.
Just in that room?
Well,
Just to cram people into places.
That's never going to work then, because we know hundreds of people are always turning out for the town board meeting.
I think we'll be okay. I think we can go ahead and let them have the meetings there. Social distancing, masks. If you need me to write something up specific to give to them, let me know. Maria, did you have?
I would just really urge us again, not to similarly from what I said about the APAP requests for the park, that we be really consistent, that a use of the firehouse, it's not just one person from the town of Athens telling you that they're going to do this, that they literally have to make an agreement, and it's the agreement that we require of them, not that they're just offering. We've been to 2 different town of Athens meetings in the past month, and I can tell you that they were overcrowded and people without masks, and aggressively so. And I would be extremely uncomfortable.
That was my other question was, is this just strictly for the town board, or does that include the other, town planning board and town zoning board? Because they don't act necessarily in concert with each other, so.
Well, I guess they need further information before I can make this decision. I do think that I can do it without board approval as the mayor. I'm not entirely sure. So let's hold off. I know that they have a meeting on Monday, but I think until I talk to Tal. They're still gonna Zoom it?
Well, it was in the paper today for Zoom.
Okay, in that
so-
case, they're Zooming that one, so we had a little time on this. So
Yeah.
let's just take this under consideration. Let's make sure that we have the plan that we want them to follow tight. And have them and figure out which organization, if it's just the town board or like how many different times. Did they give you any indication, Wayne, of
Just the town, just the town,
town board?
town board, just the town board.
And I think the other thing, Amy, in addition to setting down the policy, is the very uncomfortable aspect of enforcement.
I know.
You heard that there are people aggressively without masks and so forth. So we can have the rules, and then if they're kind of completely disregarded, what then, and so.
All right. I know this is the hardest part of this is figuring out how to keep everybody safe yet still able to engage in their local government. Let's all give it some extra thought. I'll give it some extra thought. Well, Maria, maybe again, I can consult with you on plans that you've seen for other venues or whatnot. And we'll revisit this in 2 weeks then. If they're already set to Zoom this meeting, then they don't need us to know until the first Monday of the next month. Okay, so we'll table that. That's it. That's all I have. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Do we have anything from the clerk?
Oh, thank you. Dawn, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you, Dawn. And I would, nope, that's okay, cool. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Josh.
I second.
Thanks, Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Made my first meeting pretty fun. Okay, have a great night.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.